if you don't know, this is my secret spot. Well, this is so secret that I never said anything about it. That's where I usually go to speak to manufacturers privately. You know, like a phone call where I can ask,
Acura, what this RDX is all about?
I've been waiting for the past 5 hours. Nobody called me, so I guess I have to figure out myself.
Hey neighbor, did Acura call you? Maybe they missed the number.
My name is Dennis, this is For Life Test Drive. Shall we? Since they didn't call, I had to go back to the basics and read the manuals and figure out myself what this RDX is all about. When you first look at this RDX from Acura, you like what you see. It's not blended like most of the other crossovers on the market, and it doesn't carry this Lexus style oversized grille. Actually, Lexus NX and this Acura RDX got some similarities, and I'm not talking about materials or design language. I'm talking about similar approach, and we're gonna talk more about it in this review. Under the hood you got 2-liter turbocharged engine with 272 horsepower. It can be either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, depending on what trim you pick. And all of them come with 10-speed automatic transmission. The base model starts from $37,800 and you can easily throw another $10K in options. And this is A-Spec and beautiful white pearl that we're gonna review today. It all sounds like a bunch of numbers until you drive it. So, shall we figure out what this RDX is all about? Get inside and you see those beautiful red seats. Love it. And overall you get pretty good looking interior despite some minor issues. Let's see. First of all, you have this big dynamic mode selector and very small, little, tiny volume knob. So now to the question. How many times you're gonna use this dynamic mode selector? 2, 3, 5 times throughout the entire ownership of the car? And how many times you're gonna use the volume knob? I mean, like daily, right? And yes, this looks pretty good, don't get me wrong. The only thing is, when you design something, you always have to think about the person who's gonna be using it on a daily basis. So in other words, the first time I got inside, the first time I was trying to use the volume, guess what I grabbed? Or for example, this speedo and RPMs. Well, they probably wanted to look like a Ferrari, and when you're driving during the daytime, it looks good. When you start driving during the nighttime, it actually looks like Chevy from 90s. These are just a few things that I don't like about this interior. Now let's talk about features. When you're talking about infotainment system, a lot of people criticize this True Touch interface, where you can use touchpad to control whatever is on the screen. But I think it's totally usable if you do spend some time and read the menu. I just think some of my colleagues were trying to connect the phone while they're driving or do something while they're driving. That's why they probably didn't like it. So yeah, you have to park and try to explore it because, well, to say the least, it's a little bit different. And let me tell you a quick example. When you put the finger on the trackpad, let's say right on the middle, it's gonna pop up right on the middle of the screen. So for example, if you wanna do quick and easy switch between the songs, you can simply put your finger a little bit to the right and it will pop up on the screen right where you need it. While you're holding your finger on the trackpad, you have to press it. So you will make your selection. Yes, it sounds complicated, but when you get used to it, it's pretty easy to use, and at least it doesn't sound like a slot machine in Lexus. Apple Carplay, Android Auto, 2 USBs to charge your devices, a lot of storage space, like for example this armrest. Looks good and it's very functional. It's also got Wi-Fi hotspot, and this software, this infotainment system can be updated on the go. So you don't need to connect your car to the Wi-Fi. You can just simply go through the menu and get the latest software update. Hear that? This is ELS stereo from Acura with some fancy 3D logo. I mean, take anything and put 3D logo, it's supposed to be cool. Yes, it does sound good, it lacks on mid or low range, and with no better stereo systems in the same price range from Bose. But if you don't play audiophile tracks on your fancy home stereo theater, you probably won't see the difference. Well, yes, finally we're gonna switch the driving dynamic mode. And wants you to see these beautiful graphics. It's like, no, I'm not gonna switch it too fast. You're gonna watch this. And every single mode has this different color for the car. I mean, give me the red, the most aggressive Acura. Even though I'm driving white one. So let's talk about driving dynamics. This is where this car is pretty good. I mean, you just take the corners hard and it wants to go fast and even slide a little bit. Anyways, the RDX is really good when it's talking about handling. For the past week we had this RDX, we've seen some rain, and I have to say, when you take corners hard, even in the wet, it gives you a really good feel in wet conditions. It's very comfortable when you're cruising down the freeway. I wish to have better noise insulation. Those tires are a little bit noisy, and when you have this giant panoramic sunroof, you get a lot of noises from the outside. But the suspension, thanks to active damper system, is really good. It's really comfortable. You can take a longer trip and you're gonna like this car even if you're gonna put a few hundred miles during one day. Let's talk about Acura Watch. What exactly you said? Acura Watch. What again? Well, if you press this button, which is called main, I don't know why it's called main, but when you press main and select the speed, let's say 65 miles an hour, that's what we have on this freeway. Now you turn on the steering assist and let's see if it can help us to make this turn. Yeah, we're still staying in the lane and we're making slowly left turn. Here's merge on the right side, meaning we don't have straight line. And it still holds you in place. This is really good suite of safety features. When you're talking about lane assist, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitors, this is really good quality system that you usually see in a higher price range. I'm talking about Volvos, I'm talking about Mercedes, I'm talking about something that usually has this giant price tag for a really small crossover. You go with the cheapest trim level, you still get the same suite of safety features. I mean, it's a bold statement from Acura. So yeah, you might say adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, things like that, pretty standard for the class. And you can find those in other cars that would cost you probably a half of this Acura. But you have to remember, it's not about having those features. It's more about how they work. Do they really help you on a daily basis? Will you feel safe when you give the keys for this car to your teenage driver? This is the main difference that you have to count as well. So yes, those safety features are great, and yes, you can trust this car, and yes, you can trust this car, and it can watch out for your teenage driver. Before I will answer the main question, what this car is all about, I would like to point out a few more things.
When it comes to cargo, you have almost 60 cubic feet of space.
And if you ask me, that's plenty. Rear seats are comfortable, got enough legroom, headroom. You can easily take longer trip and have 4 people inside without sacrificing any comfort. And this big, no, I mean literally giant panoramic sunroof looks great. I mean, tons of natural light and really good fulfillment. So for the past week driving, I have this feeling. It's a beautiful looking car. I like the interior, I like the outside design, but there are a few minor things that you need to fix just to make it perfect. So in order to understand RDX, you have to live somewhere else. Not like beautiful and sunny California, somewhere else. Well, if you ask me, I've spent 7 years in Chicago and I know different weather happens, snowstorms, rainy days. This car would be absolutely unique for different parts of the country. I don't want to go back, but if I would probably look for the crossover like this, just because how good it is when it comes to wet weather performance, and I'm sure it's gonna be perfect on the snow. Unique driving dynamics and really good all-wheel drive system. Let's show the karma list for Acura. At least one plus from me, just because every single trim gets the same safety features. Plus it's got nice interior, so you won't be disappointed driving it every day. By this point you probably know what this RDX is all about. I probably should go back to this phone box, to my secret location, and wait for the phone call from Acura. Maybe they ever gonna call me and explain what this car is all about, but you already know it, so hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and watch the newest and coolest cars, bikes, parts, gear every single week. And we'll see you next week. Let's see if it
How's she see?